Hello and welcome to my BookTube channel, Jack and the Book Stack, where I talk about a wide variety of book genres and the bookish lifestyle. In today's video, I have my September TBR for you, the books on my radar to read in September 2024. Now, normally I read pretty true to my TBR. I actually find great satisfaction in making a list and then accomplishing that list. Like, it always feels so gratifying when I can cross something off the list as read that I intended to. But August was a little bit tricky for me. There were some plot twists in my life, and I'll talk more about that in my August wrap-up because that has to do with August and what I was reading and how it impacted my mood. But going forward in September, I don't know how I'm going to approach things. So I have my list, I have the books that I want to read, but I'm not going to hold myself to it. I'm just going to go with the flow. And I have some video plans, but those are going to go with the flow too. And I'll tell you more here in a second. Before I get into all that, I do want to talk about my highest priority read of September. This is one that I do really want to finish this month, regardless of the mood I'm in, and I want to film a dedicated reading vlog on it because it is part of a series that I have been doing all year long, and I have to reach my goal by December. So I want to read book 4 in the Stormlight Archive and read Rhythm of War. Gosh, these 1,200 pages are really hard to hold up with one hand when the dust jacket like slips. So I want to read that, and then I also have this novella thing I have to read too. This is Dawnshard. So I want to read this in September because obviously October is spooky season, and then November I want to read The Sunlit Man, which was one of his secret projects that Brandon Sanderson did, and he recommends reading that before book 5 comes out in December. So that's my strategy for this. And like I said, the videos, the reading vlogs are part of a series I've done all year. I have a reading vlog for each book in the Stormlight Archive, so I really want to do that in September and stay on schedule. So I'm not forcing myself to read it, but you get what I mean. It's my highest priority. Here is where the flexibility comes in. So I really wanted to do a reading vlog on magical schools. It's like back to school season. Here in Phoenix, Arizona, it doesn't feel like fall all that much. In September, it is still over 100 degrees. Right now at filming, like we just broke records for like over 90 days of consecutive temperatures over 100 degrees. So breaking records all over the place for heat. It does not feel like fall. But back to school, I can get on board with that. So I was thinking reading about magical schools could be really fun and doing a reading vlog for it because I really, really enjoy reading vlogs and especially themed reading vlogs. I love doing those on BookTube because I get to express my creativity and it's so motivating for my reading. I love talking to you guys about it. The comments on my reading vlogs are always some of the best because I just love talking to you guys about these things. But unfortunately, my reading vlogs are like the least viewed videos on my channel, which is kind of difficult. But I could get beyond that because I love making them so much. But lately, I actually lose subscribers on my reading vlogs, which really breaks my heart. And I mean, look, the right audience will find me and connect with me about these books. I don't know what it is about my personality in reading vlogs that like repels people so that they unsubscribe, but that's a little bit rough. It's a little bit rough for me to see like negative subscribers from reading vlogs. So in August, I definitely took a break from it and some other things, but I don't know. I don't feel when my attention is being pulled in so many different directions right now, like something has to give, and it might be this reading vlog, but I still will read the books. So here are the magical school books that I have planned that I'm so excited for. Okay, actually, maybe I should like even reframe this because these are just books about schools. So maybe not necessarily magical because the first one is more dystopian. So I don't know if that's magic. But this is The School for Good Mothers by Jasmine Chan. And this one sounded really intriguing because I love a good dystopian tale. So Frida Liu is struggling. She doesn't have a career worthy of her Chinese immigrant parents' sacrifices. She can't persuade her husband, Gust, to give up his wellness-obsessed younger mistress. Only with Harriet, their daughter, does Frida finally attain the perfection expected of her. Harriet may be all she has, but she is just enough. Until Frida has a very bad day. The state has its eyes on mothers like Frida, the ones who check their phones, letting their children get injured on the playground, who let their children walk home alone. Because of one moment of poor judgment, a host government officials will now determine if Frida is a candidate for a Big Brother-like institution that measures the success or failure of a parent's devotion. Faced with the possibility of losing Harriet, Frida must prove that a bad mother can be redeemed, that she can learn to be good. So I think she goes to this school to learn to be a good mother by their definition. So, okay, not totally magic schools, but this was on my TBR. I own it, and I thought it could fit into the school's theme. Okay, so we're playing fast and loose with the definition here. The next one I think does fit in because I think this is labeled as a fantasy, a YA fantasy. This is A Study in Drowning, and I have this beautiful Illumicrate edition, so I get to actually knock one of these off the TBR because I collect these special editions faster than I can actually read them. And this one was like all over social media, mixed reviews, but you know, I'm going into it with an open mind, as I'm like extra open mind with YA, like have to be more tolerant of some things, but I'm looking forward to this one. So this one I think fits the vibe of that. And then also, okay, this is like adjacent. These next two that I'm gonna talk about are magical school adjacent. Maybe I need to rethink this theme. Maybe this is why my reading vlogs don't do well, because I can't get it together. Okay, so this one is more journalistic, I think. I still feel like it's academic, but maybe not a magical school. I want to read Divine Rivals and then the sequel, Ruthless Vows. Another YA fantasy duet. I believe this is like rivals to lovers. And this is, I mean, it says rivals right there, so this brilliant, Jack. Really insightful. But I think this is rivals to lovers, and I think they are journalists, and I'm looking forward to it. And if you're wondering why I'm saying like I think it's this, I think it's that, it's because I don't want the full summary going into it. I'm looking for a vibe. This TBR, I want a vibe, and it's like academics, dark academia, literature loving, schools, like, you know, the dystopian one is a school, like conformity, like it's a vibe I'm going for. Same thing with this next one. I really want to read Combat Codes. This is book 1 in a trilogy, and this is it like a military school. So still a school, but I think this is more science fiction than it is fantasy, so I don't know if there's going to be any magic, but I think there's some pretty good fighting scenes. So I am looking forward to reading this one, and actually this one was a gift from a very dear BookTube buddy, Bex Reads. I have her little card in here. Got it for me for Christmas last year. So I've been wanting to read this, and I got this gift from her, and I was like, oh, I should save that for when I'm doing some kind of like academic theme. So that's what I'm doing. So those are the academic type books that I have. Oh, there was one more. I have to check this one out from Libby. I want to read Vita Nostra. That one I hear is a magical school, and it's translated too. I think it's translated from Russian maybe, but this one looks really good. My cousin really recommended that I read it because she really enjoyed it. The problem with this one is I think it's first in a series, and not all of them are translated yet. So like if it ends on a cliffhanger, like I know what I'm setting myself up for. I know it. But again, this promises the vibes, the academic vibes for back to school. So I do want to try this in September, and I will check this out from Libby and read it on my Kindle. Next up on the TBR is the nonfiction pick of the month. I have a goal of reading at least one nonfiction a month so that I will end the year with 12 in total. And this was really interesting because I have so many nonfictions on my shelf that I'm interested in, so I might swap this out. But with where my mindset is right now, this is what jumps out to me the most, and it is The Psychology of Money. My mind is really on like professional stuff, work stuff, finances, like that's where my mind is at. So reading this I think would really pair well with my mood, at least for where it's at now. We'll see how September goes for me. And it's also kind of thin, so if I'm reading like 1,200 pages for Brando Sando, then you know, that might really, really help me out. Give me a little bit of a break, but I mean, taking a break with like psychology and finances, like personal finance, like that's quite the statement, right? Like I don't know how you guys take a break, but I guess that is my break. Now I know as September goes on, I'm gonna be itching to get into spooky season. I already have my spooky season TBR picked out, and I figured September I'll be inching towards that. I'll be anxious to start it. So the next read helps me in my goal of completing book series, but it also ties in with the time of year because the Devil's Night series takes place around Halloween. At least the first book does, because Devil's Night is like the night before Halloween. This is a dark romance series, kind of a bully romance, kind of really have to be accepting of some things, like suspend your feminism a little bit. But this is a dark romance that I've actually really enjoyed. I've read the first 2 books, and so I don't know how many I could get through in September to finish it out, but I would love to complete a series. So I think next is Kill Switch, and isn't this is like a perfect cover for me. Like none of this cartoon cover crap. Like this is so cool. Oh, and this is a series on Kindle Unlimited as well. So you could always forego this beautiful cover and read it on there. So there's that one, and then Conclave, which is like a little novella. And I think all these books, like they cover different couples, so they're interconnected standalones. And there's like a macro plot that goes on, but this is Nightfall. Really cool, creepy carnival. Like this is fall vibes. The covers alone are fall vibes. Like forget that it starts taking place like before Halloween, right? Okay, this one, Fire Night with the Snow. That kind of looks Christmassy, but I would love to work on completing some series, and okay, this is already looking like a hefty stack. So I don't know if I'll get through all these, but it's an option. I could at least make a dent. And then continuing with the idea of creeping towards spooky season, I thought I would throw in a little cozy spooky and read Cackle by Rachel Harrison. I think this is like a witchy vibe, but more on the cozy side. Because if I'm going to focus a little bit more on some horror in October, this might be a good way to cleanse the palate of all this stuff. So that is the list. That is the stack, potentially, for September. But all these books behind me, like, that are, like, lined up here, that is my physical TBR. Those are, like, my priority TBR books. That, like, some of my massive series are still out on the bookshelves, so, like, this is, like, my priority stack. So I could change my mind of any of these and pull from the shelf behind me, and that's kind of what I did in August, and it worked really well for me. I was quick to DNF, quick to pick up a different book that wasn't even scheduled for the next, like, 6 months. I just was really generous with myself and what my mood called for and what I was looking for. And, I mean, spoiler alert for the August wrap-up that I still have to film, but it's been a solid reading month, so I want to carry that forward into September, and also being a lot more forgiving of myself if I decide not to do as many BookTube videos, as many vlogs. Attention is just being pulled in several directions. I'm not saying I'm never gonna do a reading vlog again, because I really enjoy them, even if I repel people, but I really enjoy making them, and so I will continue to do so because it brings me joy. And like I said, I find the right audience because I love talking to people that do stick around and participate in the comments, and I feel really connected to those folks, like sharing a piece of my life, talking about books and how they impacted us. It's like my favorite thing of these videos, so I will continue to do them, just, you know, have some competing priorities right now. So, oh, here we go. We are almost into fall. I'm so excited to get to these reads. I hope you have a fantastic reading month ahead of you, and I hope all of your reads are 5-star reads. I'll see you in the next video.